I actually think it goes pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Here's something no 50 Plymouth could do. Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. This one's a little different. We're honoring our old friend Bob Sales today. Bob worked here for the last 25 years and we lost him to cancer earlier this year. Here he is with some of the president's pilots from Marine One. He liked this picture. Whenever the presidential pilots would come in to the airport here, they'd come over the garage and look around, and Bob always liked having this picture taken with him. He fought cancer for 25 years, but he was a car guy through and through. He was the one who would do the tours. You never saw him on camera much. You've seen George and Bernard and Jim and the other guys, but Bob didn't like to be on camera too much. So that's why you probably don't know him from the videos. But he was quite a character. He grew up in this area, been into hot rods all his life. And something we do here at the shop, all the guys that work here get to use the shop and all its facilities to build their own cars in their spare time or on weekends, whenever they want to. And that's what Bob did with this car. This is a 1950 Plymouth Business Coupe. Bob loved this thing. You know, most of the guys are into 57 Chevys and that kind of thing, or cars from the 60s, but Bob was a little bit older than the rest of us, so he had to go way back to the 50s. This was the hot setup when he was in high school. And this is his resto mod. He built a number of cars here, a couple of Corvettes, and this was the very last one. And we're trying to help his wife and family by putting the video up, and if you want to maybe bid on the car, you're interested in buying it, leave us your information and someone will contact you. But this is what he built in his spare time. Bob was colorblind, so his color choices are a little unusual, but it looks okay actually with the brown interior. And he was a character. He was a classic hot rod kid that grew up here in the valley. It's got a 383 Chevy Stroker engine in it. Well, here, let's, you know, Bob knew he was kind of fading. He left me some information. Roller rocker Holly 750 carb. It's 425 horsepower, 9-inch forward rear end. The front clip is Mustang 2, disc brakes, 57 Chevy aluminum radiator, American torque thrust wheels, tan leather interior, all new wiring loom. He's got vintage air, as we do in all of our cars here, the air conditioning system. You put the LED lights in there, custom gauges, Flowmaster mufflers, power steerings, tilt column, and windshield visor. So one who put the windshield visor in there. It's a good old girl. We'll put it up on the lift so you can take a look underneath it. Let's open the hood. Okay. A little tricky to get your head under there, but if you can see, that's as high as the hood goes. Bob didn't get a chance to put a whole lot of miles on this thing. He finished it and he drove it for maybe about a little less than a year. And then he finally started to go downhill pretty quickly. And we were there when he passed and his family was there. And I guess if you got to go, having loved ones around you is kind of the way to go. He was really concerned that this car would go to a good home, so that's what we're going to try and do. I don't see many 50 Plymouth Business Coupes that have been resto modded, so that makes it kind of cool. You know, proper brakes and all that, plenty of horsepower, it's fast. I think it would have kept the regular headlights. The LED thing doesn't work for me, but don't tell Bob. Bob liked the LED headlights. So. Really shouldn't have LED headlights. It kind of changes the whole personality of the car. These are the kind of arguments we have at the shop, you know. But that's okay. Classic Plymouth emblem up there. I remember the day he got it. Here's a picture of what the car looked like when he found it. Here's some of the work being done on it. He did the whole thing here at the shop, as all the guys do. And it's kind of fun. It makes for kind of like a family atmosphere. Everybody contributed something to the vehicle, you know. It's got an enormous trunk. Oh my God, it's got the biggest trunk I've ever seen. You know, these are business coupes. The idea was if you were a traveling salesman, you'd put all your goods and wares in the back and go, you know, door to door, hence all the traveling salesman jokes, you know. Guy knocks on the, well, you know those jokes. Okay, fine. You can't really tell them on a show like this. Okay, but let me show you this trunk. It's enormous. Look at that. If this is New York City, you could rent this out as a studio, probably get $2,800 a month for it. But as you can see, here's Bob's jacket. He wore this thing every day. Got that from Summit Racing. Batteries in the trunk. Yeah, it's, you know, it's just a good old girl. Just kind of a fun car. Bob liked to go fast. He liked his horsepower. And this, I mean, for what it is, it goes pretty good. It's got the, I think it's a standard Chevy. What's that, the Turbo 400 transmission? I never really drove this car because Bob was, you don't drive my car. You know how guys are with their cars, you know. So, okay, so we'll take it out for a spin. You can see it's sort of a, it's obviously a resto mod, but it's nicely done, and the motor's brand new, and he's got quite a bit into it, so be curious to hear what you think it's worth if you're interested in buying it. Come on, let's put it up on the lift next door, and we'll take a look underneath. We'll show you what it's like. Actually, it looks pretty clean under here. We haven't cleaned up under here at all. I just went over to the house and got the car and brought it over, so. Traction bars. Brand new exhaust system, Flowmaster, those are good. I said what I say, Turbo 400 before, I guess it's the 700R. Then what'd you say, George? Yeah. 700R, so it's got the overdrive in it, so that's pretty good. It's actually okay. It's not greasy and a lot of, I mean, the engine's brand new. It can't have more than, what, a couple thousand miles at that. So, yeah, it looks okay under here. We'll take it for a ride in a minute. You know, if you want to bid on this car, if you're interested in it, the website is Bob Sales, S-A-L-E-S, B-O-B, S-A-L-E-S, bobsalescar@gmail.com. Just email us your information, and we'll go through the list and give you a call back and let us know what you think it's worth. So, and I said all the money goes to Bob's family. We don't have anything to do with that. We're just helping out with it here. You know, the car was built in the shop here, so all the guys know it, and seems to be pretty good. You know, it's one of those deals, you either get this style of car or you don't, you know. It's kind of cool looking. You'll probably be the only one at cruise night with a 50 Plymouth Business Coupe with a 383 stroker Chevy engine in it. So I think Bob would want you to do a Burnout. Every night Bob left the shop, we'd do a Burnout in the yard. Even when he was so sick he could barely move, he still had to do that Burnout. So it's kind of an interesting, good old guy. As I've always said, you know, you never really own these cars. You just kind of hang on to them for the next guy to pass it on. So whoever buys this car, well, it'll be a good story, you know. They can go on the web and see the video of it and how it was put together. And well, let's take her for a ride, see how she goes. You know, I pleaded with Bob to keep this car stock. Keep the little 6-cylinder flathead in it, but no, you know, Bob, no, I want to make a big hot rod out of it. And that's what he did, and it goes good. I'll put my foot in it so we get a little more room up here, and you'll see how well she goes. This car brings back memories for me, because when I was born, I came home from the hospital in a 49 Plymouth, and we had that till I was about 7 years old. So it was basically the same as this, but with the mohair interior, you know, that smelled like a wet dog when it was damp. Bob loved his cars. His dream was to open his own gas station. In fact, when he first came to work for me, he worked for me until he was going to open his own gas station. And then that was, you know, in the early 90s, and then gas prices started to go a little crazy, and gas stations didn't seem that viable and a job idea anymore. And so he just, he never left. He stayed with me at the garage. Bob loved giving the tours. He loved showing cars to people and talking about cars. And, you know, whenever somebody in Bob's age group came along, oh, Bob would be thrilled to sit down there and talk about what was the hot setup when they were in high school and whatnot, you know. So It's amazing how people just sometimes become part of your family. You know, when you get to be a certain age, your family, your parents, my brother, everybody passed away. So Bob and the guys at the garage, they kind of become your new family, you know. And they take care of you and you take care of them. And, you know, we spent time with Bob when he was in the hospital, and that was, I have to tell you how hard that is. See your friend just sort of starting to deteriorate, you know. And it wasn't as obvious to us as it was to people who came around every few months, and they would kind of see Bob and be a little shocked, you know, he'd lost so much weight or whatever it is. But, you know, he enjoyed working right up into the end. He wanted to be here and he wanted to do the tours, so we got him a electric golf cart so he could sit in those and put people in the golf cart, or they'd walk alongside, and he'd, you know, tell them the story of the cars. And sometimes he'd exaggerate a little bit, you know. They go, Bob, you know, I really didn't get that car from Vladimir Putin. It was just an old Russian car, you know. Bob liked to, he liked to embellish a little bit, but, you know, he was a storyteller. But Bob knew every hot rodder in California, you know. Whenever we needed paint or parts, or he knew where all the old junkyards were from when he was in high school, and where would I find radio knobs for a 61 Chrysler. I know a guy. Bob always knew a guy who knew a guy. We're gonna miss him. And he loved having a shop where he could work on his cars, you know. That's the fun thing about having the garage like this, you know. The guys work on my stuff, and then when they're done with that, they, you know, bring their own cars in after hours and put it up on the lifts and use the grinders and the welders and the CNC machines and all the stuff. And, you know, they really enjoyed it. They like spending time here. I enjoyed having them. It's a big car for 2 seats. But you know, you sit up high and you get a commanding view of the road, as they say. Well, it's certainly faster. It certainly stops better than any 1950 Plymouth. There you go. What salesmen used to do was sleep in this car. They'd pull the seat forward and, you know, your feet in the trunk, and you'd just make a bed out of this thing. Bob was an old school car guy. Married to the same woman his whole life. Had a great family, son and daughter. They were all with him when he passed. You have to go. Not a bad way to do it. Surrounded by friends and family and people that care about you. Imagine having this engine in this car in 1950. Oh my God. Fun to drive, actually. Makes you smile. Pretty bulletproof. Big Chevy stroker engine, automatic transmission, air conditioning, power front disc brakes. What's not to like? You can really go anywhere in this car. And with that trunk, you could bring all your belongings. I mean, everything. Furniture, dishwasher, washing machine, everything. You put all in the back. No problem. I actually think it goes pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Here's something no 50 Plymouth could do. As you can see, it runs pretty well. If there's anything that could bring Bob back, it's him knowing he did a burnout in his car. He didn't care for that. But we always used to say, you don't judge a man by the size of his house. You judge him by the size of the two rubber strips in front of his house. That's when you know he's got something under the hood. But yeah, we'll miss Bob. He was a real part of the team here. He was here at the very beginning, and I'm glad we got a chance to spend time with him. And we got to say all the things, how we felt about him. So, you know, when people die in a car accident or something, all of a sudden you always feel like you never got to say anything, but at least we all got to tell him how much we cared about him. But if you're interested in this vehicle, go to bobsalescar@gmail.com, leave your information, and hopefully somebody will get in touch with you. Let us know what you think it's worth. You know, I can't put a price on it. I just don't feel comfortable doing that, but we'll see what the best offer is. So thanks a lot, and thanks for taking the time to watch this and a little tribute to Bob. See you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.